5 reasons the Philippines is better than the US. Stick around and I'll give you the 5 reasons I think the Philippines is better than the US. And make sure you stick around to the end for reason number 1, which is the most important reason. Okay, let's get started. Reason number 5, the Philippines is better than the US is it's in the tropics. Yes, some of the US is in the tropics, Florida and maybe southern Georgia, but all of the Philippines is tropical and there's beaches everywhere. It's the second largest archipelago in the world next to Indonesia with 7,000 islands. So without all those islands, you can imagine there's every kind of beach, white sand beaches, red sand beaches, black sand beaches. I've even heard that there's some blue sand beaches up in the mountains, maybe on the rivers. The tropical nature of the Philippines makes the weather great. Some parts are rainy, some parts are dry, but it's all warm year round. Baguio, the highest city, is probably the coolest place. On a really cool day there, it'll be 70, 75 degrees. But most of the country is tropical. It has beaches, mountains, rivers, no snow, but it does have volcanoes. Maybe I'm one of the highest volcanoes with some snow. So reason number 5 is the climate and the weather in the Philippines is better than the US in general. You don't really get seasons there. Some people like seasons, I understand that, but the climate is unbelievable. Reason number 4, the Philippines is better than the US is the way they treat their elders in the Philippines. The US, unfortunately, once you get to a certain age, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there quickly. But your hair turns white, you get to a certain age, and you're disregarded in the US, basically put out to pasture, useless. There's a lot of age discrimination in the workplace for older people. But in contrast, in the Philippines, their elders are highly regarded. They revere their wisdom. You're just well respected if you're older. They see the value in age and wisdom, where in the US and Western countries, everything's young, 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 young. I don't think they see the value as much in their elders. Also in the Philippines, when people get to that age where they can't take care of themselves anymore, I went through this with my own mom, and she was putting a nurse in a nursing home. In the Philippines, they don't put you in a nursing home. The family takes care of you, like it takes a village, the idea with kids. In the Philippines, the family will take care of you. I know even if I married my Filipina girlfriend and I get to a certain age where I can't take care of myself, the family would take care of me. That's the way they are in the Philippines. There's really no such thing as nursing homes. They might be in Manila or some of the bigger cities, but for the most part, all the elders are taken care of by their family. So reason number 4 is in the Philippines, they respect their elders and they respect wisdom, and they have the foresight to see the wisdom in their elders. Sorry to interrupt. Thanks for watching my video, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification. It all helps my channel get bigger and noticed. Also, I have a buy me a coffee page you could go to, and you could buy me a coffee if you want to help out my channel. If you like what I do, you could become a member there, where we could talk on WhatsApp. I give you advice on traveling, Philippines and other places I've been and spent a lot of time, South America, Africa. Anyway, thanks. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button if you like my stuff. All right, back to the regularly scheduled programming. Thanks, guys. Reason number 3 why the Philippines is better than the US is the ability of Filipinos to just fix stuff. In the US, a TV goes bad, a fan or anything like that, we just throw it out. It goes in the dump pile somewhere. We never see it again. In the Philippines, there's guys that MacGyver everything. They fix everything. There's a guy on my block there that just fixes fans and televisions. I mean, where in the U.S.? I remember when I was a very, very young kid, there was television repair shops in the U.S., but not so much anymore. Your TV goes bad, you throw it out, you buy a new one. But in the Philippines, they fix everything. I had to get my motorcycle fixed there this year. It turned out it kept using all the battery juice. I changed the battery once. Turned out to be a short in the ignition switch. But the guy I had fix it for me, instead of just putting a new ignition switch on it, he took the ignition switch apart and fixed the ignition switch, where in the US they would just put a brand new ignition switch on it. And also he charged me about $6 300 pesos for that work. It took them about a half a day. So they're masterful at fixing stuff in the Philippines, and you can get anything you have fixed very inexpensively. The number 2 thing that is better in the Philippines than the US is family. They know how to take care of their family in the Philippines. Their families are much closer. They're very cooperative people. If somebody in the family has a problem, they all try and help them usually. They're poor, but they work together, and that's how they get things done. So, like, I guess, again, like, it takes a village, right? You got to work together. Maybe they're like the Amish in some ways like that. One of the reasons Filipino families are so close is they know their family up to the 10th generation. So every kid in the family gets their father and mother's name. So they have like the 2 last names, like, you know, like some people in the US have the hyphen last name. Like my girlfriend is Charisma Angeli Malaom. Angeli's her mother's maiden name, and Malaom is her father's last name. And every kid in the Philippines is named like that, so they keep track of their family tree to a greater extent than we do here in the US, where we just take one name. You could trace it back further, but they stay close. They usually all live in the same town or the same series of towns. They just are closer families than in the US. They take care of, you know, each other throughout their whole lives. They usually live together. And, you know, like a daughter will live with her family until she gets married, then she'll move out. So they do families much better in the Philippines, I think, than in the US. And the number 1 thing that's better in the Philippines than the US, it's not women. I know a lot of you thought I was going to say women. That's a given. There's tons of videos out there about how the women are in the Philippines. They're different than the women in the US. I'm not going to say they're better or worse, but you could watch so many videos. I have them too if you want to search my channel, how the women are in the Philippines. But the number 1 reason that the Philippines is better than the US is the cost of living. The cost of living in the Philippines is 72.4% less than in the US. Think about that, 72.4%. That's 3/4 of a whole.
That is crazy.
Housing is the biggest thing. It's like 1/10 the cost of the US. And I think, you know, housing is one of the biggest problems in the US right now and the West in general. And in the Philippines, housing is literally 1/10 the cost. That's probably your biggest savings in the Philippines, but then also everything else is cheaper. Service, any kind of service you want done, stuff fixed, that's very inexpensive. Like I just talked about my motorcycle, but even like an air conditioner installed or anything basically that takes labor is very inexpensive. Going out to restaurants is much cheaper. Even going on vacation within the Philippines is much cheaper. It sounds crazy, but yes, it's 72.4% cheaper in the Philippines. That's right, guys. The number 1 reason Philippines is better than the US is the cost of living.
The end.